Okay, so we can start our class with the chanting to pay respect to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good morning and good evening again, everyone from Hawaii, and to everyone in Cambodia, in USA, and everywhere around the world. I hope you have been doing well, and especially catch up well with the class. It's been about 2 months since I was away from our Dhamma class, but I do also follow up with the previous lectures provided by different lecturers that managed by Venerable Sorata. So I do thank you for Venerable Sorata, who has helped me in managing the class. I hope everyone is going well with the class, right? Everyone, did you learn a lot from foreign teachers? Anyone can share your idea? Did you learn something new with the foreign teachers, especially from Myanmar? Share your idea, your experience. How was the class with the foreign teacher from Myanmar? Did you learn anything new? Any new experience from foreign teachers? Maybe Christina, can you share something?
Yes, Venerable. Yes. The monks from Myanmar, we did learn a lot. We learned, I remember learning about the precepts and that why we should help those, maybe why it's good to know the precepts even for those who are not Buddhists. And I learned that this is helpful to understand empathy for everyone. So even if people that don't practice all the time, if they can maybe understand a couple of the precepts, five of them, we can have more empathy in the world for each other.
Yeah, I hope you learn more, especially from different topics, right? It has been over months. So I think you improve a lot, right, Christina?
Oh, yes, so much. Every single week, I learn more and more from each class. It's wonderful.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. And Angyal, you have anything to say? I see you raising hand.
I would pay respect to your master and also other Venerable and Dhamma sister and Dhamma's brother. Respect from me to all. Yes, I learned a lot, and like Christina said, and I learned about the 5 precepts and also the age fold path. The Eightfold Path, and also mostly I learned how to train my mind, mostly about meditation, Venerable, and I follow those steps and I apply to my daily life, which is very good. So if you learn something and you didn't apply, it seems like you never got anything. So I really appreciate that you invite all the guest speaker to speak. They also are very knowledgeable, and I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so happy to hear that. Okay, yeah, and in the following weeks we will invite different teachers and lecturers to join the class, so you can also learn more from Cambodian lecturers, not only from Myanmar, also from Sri Lanka, from USA. I have invited them already, especially next week. I have invited Venerable from USA. So he's gonna share with us about the theory of non-self, anatta. Since we started the law of dependent origination, Paṭiccasamuppāda, so it is also related to the theory of anatta. So we're gonna come to that in the moment. I would like to hear from anyone else, especially you have started Paṭiccasamuppāda. Melanie. Melanie, can you?
Okay. I have learned a lot, even though it's a little bit hard to understand the action. Here we all have action, so we're not English speaking. But what I got to learn about the Paṭiccasamuppāda is that life is the circle. It just repeated itself if we don't cut down the lopa, dosa, and moha, greed, anger, and delusion. And those are the main root that I study myself right now and try to cut back down all of those and apply to my real life every day. That's all I can share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else want to share something? Okay, let me start sharing the screen. Can you see everyone? Can you see my screen? Right.
Yes, can see your screen, teacher.
Origination. Last week, you already started that lesson with Venerable Soratha. I hope you have learned something, especially in terms of the basic meaning around Paṭiccasamuppāda, dependent origination. You may call it dependent arising, or the law of causation, dependent arising, dependent co-arising, the condition Genesis. So many other terms. And here I would like to just show you the diagram. I actually have had many diagrams concerning this, the law of dependent origination. This is very basic, also very fundamental and popular teaching of the Buddha. As you have already learned, when you truly understand the Four Noble Truths and dependent origination, it seems like you understand almost everything about Buddhism, because it's very fundamental. It's the core essence of the teachings of the Buddha. So that's why I think we're gonna spend more time in learning to understand the law of dependent origination. I know we have a lot of topics to talk about while trying to understand Buddhism, but if we don't understand the law of dependent origination, we won't truly reach to that deep understanding very easily. So we must comprehend the teaching of Paṭiccasamuppāda very well. And even though you cannot understand well in English, I hope you can also find the source from Khmer version. It would be better to understand from the Abhidhamma point of view, since this is exactly the from Abhidhamma. So please do more research with the Khmer version as well. I don't think you will easily understand just studying in English. Please do research more with the Khmer version, okay? Okay, let's go to the slide. Okay, first of all, let me just read this concerning with the theory of dependent origination, the law of the causation, because Venerable Ananda in the times of the Buddha used to undermine or underestimated this teaching, this theory. He said it's not very deep, it's easy to understand. But then the Buddha denied, the Buddha denied, don't say that, Ananda. You see here, it is wonderful and marvelous, Venerable Sir, how this dependent arising is so deep and appears so deep. Yet to myself, it seems as clear. It seems as clear it can be. Venerable Ananda think this is easy to understand. It is clear for him to understand the law of dependent origination. And then the Buddha said, do not say so, Ananda. Do not say so, Ananda. This dependent arising is deep, and it appears deep because of not understanding and not penetrating this Dhamma, Ananda. This generation has become like a tangled skein, like a knotted ball of thread, like a matted rushes and reeds, and does not pass beyond samsara with its plane of misery, unfortunate destinations, and lower realms. Yeah, this is the words of the Buddha concerning the theory of dependent arising. Okay, so don't look down. Don't think this is a theory teaching. It is a very hard teaching, very profound, not easy to catch up with just a modern mind, with just the mind of ordinary people. So that's why it is comprehended by the Ariya Pukkala, the noble persons and enlightened ones. And the Buddha realized or found this teaching only just before his enlightenment. He has never comprehended such a law of the teaching before. That's why during the first week, after the first week of his enlightenment, the Buddha reflected on the Abhidhamma. If you have been to Bodh Gaya, India, so after enlightenment, the Buddha spent 7 weeks around the Bodh Gaya, we call Gaya Sisa, Gaya Sisa. Around that area, there were different places that the Buddha spent each week, like in the place of near Bodh Gaya. We also see one stupa that recorded with the Buddha reflection on the books of Abhidhamma. So there he reflected on Abhidhamma and also reflecting on the law of dependent origination. Just 1 week after his enlightenment, and then the very first word of the Buddha, I think some of you have already heard, we call Patama Buddha Vajana. the Buddha's first utterance. This is what we talk in terms of after his enlightenment. So when he already gained enlightenment, then he came to be known as Buddha, right? Buddha means the enlightened one, because he already gained enlightenment. So after his enlightenment, his very first and foremost word was this gatha, okay, these verses. So here I also quoted from the Dhammapada. It's in Dhammapada verses 153 and verse 154. Udanavathu. And most of the monks already know how to recite this. Even some lay people, in Cambodian temples around the world, they know how to recite this Dhamma, right? And they get sang sarang santhia visang and nipisang kahakarang kave santang, something like that. So that's in our version, in Cambodian version, we always recite that when we do the evening or morning chanting to reflect upon the Buddha's first word, okay? Aneka jadi sangsaram, in Pali, sandha visam anip visam kahakaram gawe santo dukkha jati punapunang. Okay, kahakara katithosi puna gehang nakahasi sabate bahasuka bahaka kahakudang visangkitam visangkahara gatam chitam danhanam kaya machakati. Okay, so the meaning here, I who have been seeking the builder of this house, Bodhi, failing to attain enlightenment, Bodhinyana or Sappanyuttanyana, which would enable me to find him, have wandered through innumerable births in samsara. To be born again and again is indeed dukkha, suffering, unsatisfactoriness. Okay, this is the Buddha's utterance, because he have been reflecting on the law of Paṭiccasamuppāda. So he uttered this very first word by himself. I who have been seeking the builder of this house means this body, this life, this existence. I who have been seeking the builder of this house, failing to attain enlightenment, which would enable me to find him. Since he cannot attain enlightenment, so he could not find who is the builder of this house, who built this existence for me. Why there is I, there is me, there is this existence. That's what was wondering of him. Then he could not, which would not enable me to find him, have wandered through innumerable, right? He have been born again and again through the cycle of life. So in Buddhism, the word samsara, okay, the word samsara can be referred to the cycle of life, born and die, die and born again and again in this samsara, the round of life and death, we call samsara, because we born and then we die and then we born again and again, millions, agents of time, countless existences. We have to be born and die again. So to be born again and again, according to the Buddha, indeed is a dukkha, suffering. Then he goes on, etc. Oh, house builder, you are seen. Okay. Oh, house builder, you are seen. You shall build no house for me again. Right? Now he has seen Now he has seen the house builder. He know who he was. So the house builder can no longer build the house for the Buddha again because he already found him. All your rafters are broken. Your roof tree is destroyed. When the Buddha saw the householder, found the householder, so he knows how to get rid of him, right? My mind has reached the unconditioned Nibbana, okay? My mind has reached the unconditioned Nibbana, the end of the craving. Arahata Phala has been attained. So here, the word unconditioned is very important. It also means Nibbana, okay? Sorry. Unconditioned is opposite meaning of the law of condition, okay? We are studying dependent origination. So dependent origination or the law of causation, but Nibbana is unconditioned, okay? It's different. It's not conditionality like dependent origination, like Paṭiccasamuppāda. We also translate it as the law of conditionality because it conditions something to arise and also passes away. But Nibbana, on the other hand, is unconditioned. It's not conditioned under the three common characteristics like the law of changing, the law of unsatisfactoriness, and the law of selflessness. The end of craving, Arahata Phala, has been attained. So the Buddha has attained to the stage of full enlightenment as Arahanta, full or complete enlightenment. No more craving remains, okay, for him. That's why this expression, this first utterance of the Buddha is very important in order to also study or understand in depth the law of dependent origination. So you can read this later on, and if possible, try to learn by heart for those who have not been able to recite these verses. I know the monks can do it, but for the lay people, you can learn this even in Khmer version, and okay? This is called the Paṭṭhāma Puṭṭha Vajana, the first word or the first utterance of the Buddha. Anekecha disang sarang santa visang anipisang kahakarang kawe santo tukha jati punap punang kahakara katithosi punake hang nakahasi sappa de pasuka bahaka kahakutang visang kahara katang chitang tanhanang kayamachakati. Okay. Okay, hope everyone can get it. So we move on to the next slide. You already have learned basically with Venerable Sorata last week. Just to remind again, Paṭiccasamuppāda. So the terms, dependent origination, dependent arising, the law of causation, interdependent co-arising, condition genesis, causal genesis. So it's all related with the word dependent and origination, right? Depend on one another. It origin, it produce something, right? Dependent on something, it give rise to something else. That's why they use a few different terms in English to refer to the teaching of Paṭiccasamuppāda, the law of causation, right? Because it caused something to happen. And yeah, co-arising, similar meaning. So you can use any of the term. Okay, so I quoted from another book written by Venerable Buddhadasa Bhikkhu. He's very well-known Thai master. So he also wrote another book called Practical Dependent Origination since 1992. So just quote some of his words. If you have that book, you can also read from that. But he's quite very controversial, and he has made much effort in explaining Paṭiccasamuppāda because he believed that many other teachers, many other people have explained it in the wrong way because it is too deep to understand. That's why some teachers, some masters in the past even, they also got confused. So in his book, he also demonstrated how he disagreed with some of the masters who have taught this teaching, and also even with the Venerable Paṭiccasamuppāda, the very well-learned scholar monks who mostly known as Arahanta, who wrote the books of Visuddhimagga, and also he explained the theory of Paṭiccasamuppāda. But he was not also 100% sure if he could explain the Paṭiccasamuppāda correctly, 100% correct, according to the intention of the Buddha. So I have a copy of that book. I have a PDF file, so I will share with all of you later on. Okay, just a moment. Let me show you the maybe not here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If you ever seen this diagram, that is from Venerable Buddhadasa, okay? Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, the Thai master. He has drawn this diagram. All his students study with this diagram. So why I brought here to share with all of you, just so you have the idea of what it is. So it's the diagram drawn by Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, Thai master. Also the theory of Paṭiccasamuppāda, because he referred to it as the cycle of life or as a samsara. So samsara means this world or this universe, right? So same, you see, it's like a wheel. That's why people call the wheel of life. Some people call it the wheel of life or the wheel of samsara. And here we are eaten by this giant, this demon, right? Like a yakka. The samsara, because we have been born again and again in these samsaras, and again being born is indeed dukkha. So we are being eaten by suffering. So this demon is like a dukkha, right? The dukkha is bitten us, is biting us each and every day, each and every moment of our life, consciously or unconsciously, but we are being bitten by our suffering, right? Each and every moment bring us closer to the graveyard because we're getting old. We're getting old age. We're getting decay each and every moment on our daily basis. So this is a symbol to reflect upon our life. Okay. I'm trying to find his book. Oh yeah, maybe this one. No. This is the from Myanmar. We're gonna come to this soon, to this book. I'm trying to find the dependent origination. Maybe I kept somewhere, not here. Okay. So later we will come to Paṭiccasamuppāda, this book that Venerable Sarata already told you. we will use this as a reference to study. It's from Mahathira Mogul Sayadaw. So this book has been written since 1966, so long time ago, and it even becomes the techniques of Vipassana meditation in Mogul Vipassana Center in Myanmar. I have been there a few times and been able to associate it with some of the professors and teachers there. Maybe one day, I think I have talked to one doctor from this center, and she agreed to come to our class. I hope we can make that for her, because she's very old and she may not be easily or convenient for her to use Zoom. But I'm very close with her, and we've been in touch, since even I stay away from Myanmar for like 10 years, but I still keep in touch with her. So yeah, I found some of the teachers in Myanmar. They're very resourceful and very knowledgeable, and it's good to share the knowledge with us. That's why I try to take advantage of the time we have here, so we can get to learn with a lot of different teachers, and we gain more experiences. Okay. So let's keep going. From Venerable Paṭiccasamuppāda, he wrote this book, Practical Dependent Origination. So I quoted what the words that he referred to this theory. It is a continuous series of 11 conditions. Yeah, in the teaching of Paṭiccasamuppāda, altogether we have 12 conditions. Some may call it 12 factors or 12 modes, 12 links. So it is a series of conditions. That's what he called, because starting from avijja, so it conditions sankhara. Okay, let's see the diagram. Okay, I also share with you the Khmer version. Yeah, here we have the Khmer version and English version, so you can read from here. These are all the 12 factors, okay, or 12 conditions, starting from avijja, sankhara, vijnana, namarupa. Okay, vijnana, namarupa, salayatana, bahasa, vedana, danaha, upadana, bhava, jati, and jara, marana. Okay, these are the 12 factors or 12 conditions, because from avijja it conditions sankhara, or from avijja gives rise to sankhara, sankhara gives rise to vijnana, and then continuously. Okay, that's what he meant. So I think first of all, you must learn by heart. Try to remember all the 12 factors. Okay, for those who have not been able to remember it by heart, please study by heart. Please try to memorize. This is a very basic lesson you must learn by heart. All the monks, they can do so, because we also recite this during our evening chanting to the Buddha, or when we go to any ceremony like a funeral service. We also chant this sutta in front of the people, especially during their funeral. We do chant this, but if we don't study, we don't understand the meaning. So the monk always chant avijja paccaya sankhara Sankhara Paccaya. You see, Vinyanang Vinyana Paccaya Namarupang. Namarupa Paccaya Salayatanang Salayatana Paccaya Passo Phasa Paccaya Vedana Vedana Paccaya Tanha. Phần song dưỡng trẻ nó còn là dịch nhóm trời riêng hay especially the term in English. Okay, the term in English you have to remember too, like avijja, ignorance. Okay, and then there is a Khmer translation for Khmer speakers. Sankhara, volitional actions, or we call karma formations, volitional activities. There we have several terms to refer to sankhara, but mostly we see volitional actions, volitional activities, karma formation. Sometimes we see the word conditioned as sankhara, sangata, because sangata is unconditioned. So, and then we have vijnana, consciousness, namarupa, mental and physical phenomena, or mind and matter. Okay, like mind and body, mentality and materiality. So that's the term to refer to namarupa. So all of these are the ultimate truths, right? Paramatta Satya, the words here. I mean, the word is conventional, but the meaning here, the Dhamma here is Paramatta Satya. It's the ultimate truth. It will never change its characteristics and essence. So you must remember the Pali word and then understand the meaning in English or in Khmer version. Salayatana, six sense medias or sixfold sense base. Okay, six senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Okay, six senses is called Salayatana: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And phasa, contact, sensorial and mental contact. Okay, Vedana, feeling or sensation. Tanha, craving, desire, thirst, thirst or attachment. So many terms to refer to tanha as well. Then upadana, we have clinging, grasping, sometimes also called as attachment. It's the same type, but it's clinging. It's more serious, right? When it comes to the stage of upadana, you hold on to something very firmly that you don't want to let go. And then bhava, process of becoming. Jati, birth, jara, marana, decay, death. And the last soka, prideva, sorrow, lamentation, dukkha, pain, domanassa, upayasa, grief and despair. When you remember all these terms, it will be easy to read the diagram, because in the following week, I will try to explain from the diagram here. It really helps a lot when you're able to read the diagram. I would like to know, so far, has anyone been able to understand the diagram in detail by just looking at it? Can you understand the whole idea? Because I sent to the group a few days, no, not a few days, yeah, 1 or 2 days ago. Anyone? Have you read the diagram and been able to understand without me telling you? Does anyone understand? Why?
ព្រមមានឃើញណារៀបទៅឃើញមាន present period ផង
speak in English, okay.
Oh, yeah. So when I read it, this is the in the present period, in the future period between the samudaya, dukkha, sajja and samudaya sajja. And when I read it, I was thinking about this. This must be the past that create the present and create the future. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Anyone else? How do you think about the diagram here? Is it easy to read, to understand?
For me, Venerable Master, I cannot understand at all. It's difficult to understand.
Have you seen the chart, this diagram before?
I have just been in our group.
Okay. No problem. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna come to this soon. Anyone else? So that's why I just show you that remembering all the term is very important to understand this diagram too. If you have already learned by heart all the terms like avijja, something like that, avijja, sankhara, vinyanang, namrupang, something like that, all will comes in here. Okay, so first just learn by heart the Pali version and also the English translation, because you're gonna see all the terms in here, most of the terms in here. So it helps me a lot when I first started learning this theory. So I read the book from Mogul Sayadaw, and then when I come to observe this diagram, it's easy. It's like a review of the whole book, you know. If you understand that, it will help you a lot in understanding this theory. Okay, anyway, let's come back. It is a continuous series of 11 conditions, and then it demonstrates the fact of suffering, its arising and its passing away. Okay, the theory of Paṭiccasamuppāda demonstrates the fact of suffering, its arising and its passing away. No owner of suffering. Suffering arises without owner. You understand? Okay. In this teaching of dependent origination is nothing but it's a fact of the suffering. We have to acknowledge that life is suffering. The cycle of life is a suffering. And this teaching demonstrates us to see the suffering that exists, acknowledge the suffering that exists, and also see how it arises, right? How the suffering arises, and then how the suffering comes to an end. It's the technique, it's the way to end suffering, to escape from the cycle of life. It's the technique to liberate yourself from the round of samsara, right? This is the round of samsara, because beings has been clouded by ignorance, right? Our mind has been shrouded or clouded with ignorance, avijja and tanha, so we could not see what is right and wrong. We could not find the way to liberation. That's why we are stuck in the wheel of samsara, which rotate us round and round again and again, here and there. That's why the Buddha uttered his very first word, Aneka sangsarang, innumerable, countless existences that he has been wandering, born again and again, because he couldn't find the builder of the house of this very existence. He doesn't know what bring him here, who made this existence, right? That's why all beings, all of us, have been round and round, born again and again in this cycle of life, no end. And we don't know when the wheel of samsara started to move. We couldn't know that where is the beginning and where is the end, right? Can you analyze, can you point out where is the start of the round wheel, right? We don't know where is the start, where is the beginning, and then again, we don't know where is the end of this wheel, because it keeps rotating, it keeps moving round and round, moving forward like that, like a wheel of a chariot, like a wheel of the car, right? When it's moving, we don't know. So we've been around and round, and we faces ups and downs, experiences all the problems, all the suffering and satisfactoriness in this life, just because we have birth, just because we are born. So we have to suffer, we have to experience a lot of problems and troubles in this cycle of life endlessly. That's what the Buddha uttered, right, during his first word, Paṭiccasamuppāda Buddha Vajana. Life indeed is dukkha. This is the round of dukkha. So we studying this law of dependent origination, or the law of Paṭiccasamuppāda. To understand is to actually understand our very existence, where we come from, why we are here, and where are we going. Okay, so when we learn this, we would find the answer to all these questions. Why we are here, what brought us here, and what will bring us to the next, right? So all explained and expounded in this teaching. Let's come back. No owner of suffering. Suffering arises without owner. You may wonder, especially when we study the teaching that do bad, we will get bad, and do good, we will get good. Because the bad doer will suffer from his own deed, right? The same way, the good doer will receive good result from his own deed. But here it says, no owner of suffering. Suffering arises without owner. So in this theory of the teaching, it also demonstrates the principle of causes and conditions. When we study the round of samsara, the wheel of samsara, we see that everything just a dhamma, just a phenomena of mind and matter. Not us, not anyone who does that, right? It is just a series of conditions, a continuous series of 11 conditions that it gives rise to one another. No being, no man, no woman, no person, no I, no you who does that. We all are just the term used conventionally, right? But in the ultimate sense, this is a series of things happening, you know, this is a dhamma. So forward, we will study about that. from this book, The Doctrine of Paṭiccasamuppāda, written by U Tan Teng, the president of Society for the Propagation of Mogul Vipassana. So it was, he translated into English in 1967, but the book was written in 1966. Paṭiccasamuppāda actually is itself the cyclic order of arising and passing away of the Dhamma or the khandhas. Everyone, you see my screen? Okay, you still see my screen, right? Just want to make sure.
Yes, I can see Venerable Master.
Okay. So Paṭiccasamuppāda actually is in itself the cyclic order of arising and passing away of Dhamma. You see? So Dhamma here, it also includes the suffering, the dukkha. When we talk about it, is also a continuous series of dukkha, the arising of dukkha and the passing away of dukkha, right? So it is also the Dhamma or the khandhas. In Buddhism, we have 5 khandhas, 5 aggregates, right? 5 aggregate. Let me show you for those who have no idea of what the 5 aggregate is. Okay, I'm gonna show it later. Otherwise, it will be messing around. Okay, so the 5 khandha. So we have body, right? The materiality, rupa, right? Vedana, rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana. Okay, so the 5 khandhas are rupa, vedana. Rupa is materiality or matter, and then vedana is a sensation, a feeling. Sanya is a perception, and sankhara is a mental formations, and consciousness, right? Is a vijnana. So these are the 5 khandha. So you see the whole process of the will of Paṭiccasamuppāda. It is just the order of arising and passing away of the 5 khandhas or the Dhamma, so to speak. This process is only the arising and passing away of khandhas, nama, rupa. So 5 khandha can be summarized as a nama and rupa. So nama refer to the mind, okay, and rupa is the materiality or corporeality, matter, okay. Nama consists of sensation, perception or memory, and then the sankhara, mental formations, and then consciousness. So nama has 4, right? 4 factors in it. And then 4 with the rupa, together 5, make a 5, okay? 5 khandhas. Or in other words, this is the process of the law of causality. In other words, this is the process of the law of causality, in which there is no semblance which can be taken for I, my, self, or ego. It's just the law, it's just the nature, right? It's the law of causality in which there is no semblance which can be taken for I, my, self, or ego. So the Buddha expounded Paṭiccasamuppāda also to prove that there is no any other external forces. There is no self that born and dies, no. Because this is just a concept we taken for real, you know, we taken simply, we use it for the sake of understanding, you know, better communication in daily life. I, my, mind, self, ego, or something. But Buddhism does not accept the theory of soul or self, So this teaching of Paṭiccasamuppāda demonstrate the system of something arises and passes away as a series, right? As a series, then we can see that there is no being who does this. It's just a series of phenomena that happens and ceases and passes away. The whole process is just the law of nature, the law of causation, the law of Genesis, right? Nobody does that, right? No God, no other external forces that make this, no us, no I, no you that does that. The whole process, just the law of nature, right? It shows that the process of arising and disappearing is nothing but a series of sorrows and sufferings, okay? A series of sorrows and suffering, because if the wheel of samsara keeps moving, rotating, that means a round of suffering, the round of suffering go on and on for us, right? Being born is indeed suffering. It is the doctrine which minutely shows that when this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. So it's a interconnectedness theory, right? Nothing is disconnected. Everything is a connection. Everything is connected with one another. From this arises, right? From this, give rise to this. Just like the example below here. A exists, B comes to be, right? A arising, B arises. A ceasing, B does not come to be. So it is a theory of like a cause and effect, or a theory of conditioning, right? Something is give rise to something else, right? Something gives rise to something else. The theory of conditioning, like the seed, right? The seed of a tree. Because of a seed, there's a tree or there's a fruit, right? If you don't plant the seed, you will not get the fruit, because the fruit is from the seed. And again, the seed gives rise to the fruit. Again, the fruit can be the seed. Like a mango, if you imagine you have a mango fruit with you, and then you eat the mango, and then you keep the seed for planting. When you plant the seed of the mango, it will give rise to the mango fruit again. So round and round, something like this. Like a coconut tree. When you want to get a coconut tree, you have to plant a coconut seed, right? It's like a fruit, but there is a seed in it. Then you plant the coconut seed, and some years later, you get the coconut tree that bears the coconut fruits. Then you eat the coconut fruits. Again, you keep the seed for planting, round and round. It is the law of relativity. Albert Einstein called it the law of relativity. So nothing is irrelevant. Everything is relevant. Everything is interconnected with one another. So that's the similar idea. A exists, B comes to be, something like that. When we come to the diagram, the wheel of the when we come to the wheel of the samsara, we see everything is interconnected and it keeps rotating round and round like that. From avijja give rise to sankhara, sankhara give rise to vijnanam, vijnanam give rise to namarupa, and so on, round like that. You see, round like that. That's why you have the past period, present period, the future period, because all these periods are in one life, right? One existence. In this very existence, we experience both of the periods, both of the time phases. We have past, what I've been talking, it's already happened and passes away, right? Like when I say I, then it passes. It already finished. So it become past already. And then present, what I'm talking right now is the present period. We are now in the present. And then in the moment, what we're going to talk is the future lies ahead of us. It's the future period. So this life existence, we are living in the three periods of time: the past, the present, and the future. And all the dhammas, all the realities are here with us, within the past, the present, the future. But we can only experience the dhamma right here and now, which is in the present, right? We can only know things in the present because we have vijnana, consciousness, that knows the objects, aware of the objects. Like we are learning the Dhamma right now. We understand, we cognize and recognize the things simply because the awareness, the mindfulness that we have is in the present moment, right? Okay.
Venerable Master, could I have talked about the diagram a little bit?
Okay. Let me share again. Yes, please.
Just for my personal view and understanding, I just think that Paṭiccasamuppāda, the whole lesson that we are learning here, just in a group of three vada. Look at the Kilesa vada, Kama vada, and Vipaka vada.
Yeah.
So Kilesa vada refer to the past, that mean that like avijja, danaha, that already exists in the past, but it attached in the present, that cause the Kama vada, samsara, avijja, sankhara. Yeah, sankhara refer to the karma that we are doing in the present or in the moment, that that like vijnana, namarupa, phasa, that are arising in the present, and that because of the kamavada, it caused the future result called the vipakavada, like the jaramarana, and jadi, that is the wheel of life, or what. Yeah, thank you. Yes,
yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, we will come to detail the week after, following week. We will come to detail with the diagram here. Okay, yeah. So like what you share, Venerable Superior, we will talk in the following week. Yeah, I'm not going to into detail yet with the diagram. Yeah, but thank you for raising that point. Yeah, we just go with the basic idea first. And then when you already learned by heart all the Pali terms and English, then we come to the diagram. It will be easier to understand, to catch up. Okay, everyone, please try to learn by heart the 12 factors from avijja, sankhara. Okay, both of the term in Pali and also the English translation. Okay, then we come to the next slide. I think I have used a lot of time today, but just go easy, each of the lesson, no rush. Okay. And then by way of sammuti sajja, conventional truth นั่นคือสันนมัตសេចក្តីពិតដោយការសន្មតបញ្ញត្តិណា by way of sammuti sajja is just a conventional truth, the way we assume things to be, like men, people, creatures or beings are universally so called and known, right? This is a conventional truth. So in Buddhism there are two kinds of truth. One truth is called sammuti. Sajja means truth. Okay, so sammuti is just assumption, it's just conventional, apparental. We use it for the sake of understanding daily communication. That's why we name things as men, women, people, mountains, rivers, Mr. A, Mr. B, and so on. But in reality, right, in reality, the paramatta sajja here, paramatta sajja, ultimate truth, there is no man or mankind or creature as such. It can only be traced back to the Dhamma. Avijja and Tanha is the beginning of samsara, according to this teaching. Whereas Paṭiccasamuppāda doctrine shows that avijja and tanha are the beginning of samsara. Okay. It should not be compared with the beginning of men or custom or the first cause. In the ultimate truth, paramatta sajja, there is no man or mankind or creature, and such it can only be traced back to the Dhamma. Avijja and tanha is the beginning of samsara. We will go to the book for more detail. I believe some of you have read that, but I just quoted some of the main idea. It also shows that it is none other than the continual and endless process of arising and disappearing of conducts of the so-called sentient being, commonly known in sammuti sajja as man, women, and creature. Okay, and then from Sayadaw, okay, Titila Agamaha Pandita, this is what he wrote about Paṭiccasamuppāda. Answer the following three great questions. First question, where did we come from? Second question, why are we here? Third, where are we going? It's very interesting. The answer, okay, where did we come from? Out of the past, out of the things which we have done before, out of the labors unfinished, out of the past vices and virtues, bad and good, out of the darkness, out of our own, the darkness of our own ignorance, out of our own desires. Thus, we come down into the present, bringing with us the virtues and the vices of the past. This is to answer where did we come from. So we come from what? The past, out of the things which we have done before. So in conventional truth, in sammuti sajja, what we do, we become, right? Nowadays, we also hear that phrase, right? What we think we become. It's all from the Buddha, actually, which means we born out of our own deed and action. What we do, we become. What we think, we become. And they even say that what we eat, we become. Yeah, it's like we are the result of what we were, and we will be the result of what we are, right? It's the same theory. And then the second question, why are we here? Okay, I'm not finishing yet, sorry. Out of the past, out of the things which we have done before, which mean what we have done, out of the labors unfinished, what we have done before. So now we born to continue that, because out of our own deeds and action, what we call karma, the karma that brings us here, right? So what is karma? The actions, our own deed that we have done previously. That's why it has the karma vada, like Venerable Superior said, the karma vada and vipaka vada, the action done and then the result giving, right? The continuous series of arising and passing away, right? It happens and it passes, like we born and die, something like that. Out of darkness of our own ignorance, out of our own desire. So desire, that which boosts up, that which pushes us to do something, and out of something we done as a karma, we are born out of that. This is where we come from, right? Thus we come down into the present, bringing with us all the bad things and good things of the past. Then you should be able to clear your doubt. Where are you from? Where did you come from? Then comes to the second one. Why are we here? We are here because of the past. For the past gives birth to the present. And from the present is born the future. We were brought here by our own joys and our own sorrows. And most of all, we are led here by our desires. And here we remain until the last selfish desire is annihilated. This is very important. Last selfish desire is annihilated. If the desire still remains, for sure, there will be more birth, there will be more jati, right? Because desire is the cause of becoming, it's the cause of beings. So whenever desire is annihilated, its absence is removed, there will no more becoming. That is why in the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, you see the cause of arising, samudaya sajja, samudaya ariya sajja, is tanha, right? Attachment, desire, craving, thirst. It's the cause of suffering. It's the cause of samsara. If you want to break the will of samsara, you have to break from its root, right? So that's why in the diagram we see two roots present here. Two roots of the samsara, the will of the will. Samsara chak, samsara chak khmaiយើងឬក៏samsara chak ហ្នឹងគឺកង់នៃsamsaraវដ្តហ្នឹងដូចកង់រទេះអញ្ចឹង samsara chaka is the will of the samsara. It has two roots as avijja and tanha. Avijja is ignorance and tanha is desire, craving, attachment. So these are the two roots. If we can remove it, and then we can stop the will of samsara, we can remove the root or the cause of rebirth. Because the Buddha said rebirth is indeed suffering. If we want to put an end to suffering, complete liberation from suffering, we must remove the root of rebirth, right? When there is no rebirth, there is no suffering. If there is rebirth, if we born again, suffering also follow us, right? For suffering comes again with this physical body and mind. Suffering arises. So in this theory, it also demonstrates the technique how to not born again. This is the theory of reaching enlightenment, because when we talk about reaching enlightenment or becoming arahanta or like the Buddha, when he attained to this stage of enlightenment, so he cut down the root of being born. Because there is no more rebirth, then he's not conditioned under any kinds of suffering. But we nowadays, because we have this existence, because we born, so we have to experiences different kinds of suffering. And the suffering go on and on like that. Go on and on without an end, because we don't know where is the beginning and where is the end, unless we realize the suffering, we acknowledge, we see the suffering as it is, and then we see the arising of suffering, then we can also see the end of the suffering, like the way to put an end to suffering, right? Through this law of dependent origination, we will learn all these things. We learn to acknowledge the existence of our own problems, and then we learn to be mindful the arising of all problems in our life. Simply when problem arises, we're not really mindful, we're not really aware of the problem. We immediately react to the problem blindly, and that's why we cause more problem. We not only solve it, but we double our problem because we're not being aware of what is happening, of what is arising, right? So we learn this teaching simply to acknowledge the existence of our very problem, and then be mindful of the arising of our problem, and then find a way to put an end to our very problem. Okay. Okay, we come to that later. Once again, let's come back. I keep going to the diagram often because I want to all of you to have a clear image of what I'm talking. So when the desire is completely annihilated, then there will be no more becoming, right? So we won't be here anymore, so to speak. We won't be in this samsara anymore if we already removed uprooted the root cause of rebirth, right? So no wonder why we are here, because we have unfinished labors, we have unfinished work, which means we have not cut the root of being born, okay? Because we still accumulated a lot of karma, both good and bad. Therefore, we have to get the result of what we have done. But when we truly understand the nature of life based on the Four Noble Truths and the Paṭiccasamuppāda, we know where we come from and why we are here and where we're going. So we can put an end, we can liberate ourselves from the round of samsara. Third, where are we going? We go to the effects of our own causation. Where are we going? We're going to receive, right, the result of what we have caused, right? Where are we going? This is also a very important question. We go to the effects of our own causation. Those whose labors are unfinished merely go around the wheel of life, samsara, and return again to labor towards fuller completion. Those who have followed the middle way and finished their labors reach the state of nibbana, complete cessation of all suffering. Vậy nông thị xã máy thà កិច្ចយើងមិនទាន់ចប់អញ្ចឹងយើងត្រូវតែកើតម្ដងហើយម្ដងទៀតសម្រាប់ព្រះអរិយបុគ្គលទាំងឡាយដូចជាព្រះអរហន្តទាំងឡាយគឺលោកបានបញ្ចប់កិច្ចរបស់លោករួចហើយណាគឺសោលាសកិច្ចហ្នឹងហើយបញ្ចប់កិច្ចការហើយលោកលែងកើតទៀតដែរ so because we have unfinished work that's why we have to come what is the remaining work that we have to come and perform again and again is the development of our merit of our good deed the development of the mind training the mind practicing kindness and good all the things if we have done to reach the maximum level then we become fully enlightened like the Buddha then our work is finished but when the people perform anything in life not reach to the stage of destroying defilement or kilesa then the work is unfinished when we unfinish the work we will have to come back again to do it right it's like that like you go to the office why you keep coming to the office again and again because of the unfinished labors right unfinished work that's why you have to come and continue your work but if you're done with that you don't need to come anymore but no we're not done with our living standard nowadays we have to make money we have to earn the livings to keep our lifestyle going on right this is just a analogy comparison right and here those who have followed the middle way yeah the noble eightfold path or the middle way finish their work and reach the state of nirvana if you not attain to the stage of complete enlightenment then you still unfinished with your work every one of us myself you okay yes already time's up so we will talk more but I would like to conclude a little bit and maybe give some time if you have any doubt or question please keep this in mind try to learn this by heart okay and be able to recite if possible you can recite avijja sankhara vijnana nama rupa in order okay in order please remember it in order avijja sankhara vijnana nama rupa salajana phassa vedana tanha upadana pavacchati jara marana soka vediva learn it by heart so like you have already learned that the theory of Paṭiccasamuppāda the Buddha expounded in two ways as anuloma and padiloma okay anuloma means in direct order in the flow of this will in the flow of the will of samsara on the other hand the Buddha has expounded in reverse order reverse order means you start from here like that right like from left to right but flowing order from right to left right? So it's like from here we start from avijja paccaya sankhara something like that avijja condition sankhara ignorance give rise to volitional activities volitional formations and then sankhara paccaya vijnanam sankhara give rise to vijnanam something like that this is the the Buddha expounded by way of the flow of samsara the will of samsara which means we live in a world that out of avijja and tanha we condition all of this to arise again and again and again that's why the wheel of samsara keeps moving because we keep performing all the actions unknowingly and also based on ignorance and out of desire we make things both bad and good especially the bad things that's why the wheel of samsara just keep going on ខ្មែរយើងហៅថាយើងរស់នៅសពថ្ងៃហ្នឹងគឺបដែតបដោយទៅតាមកសែនៃតណ្ហាណាគឺកសែនៃតណ្ហាដែលព្រះអង្គសម្ដែងទៅលើអនុឡោមន័យគឺយើងរស់នៅហ្នឹងគឺស្របទៅតាមខ្សែតណ្ហាតែបើយើងរស់នៅបច្ច្រាស់ពីខ្សែតណ្ហាវិញមានន័យថាយើងរកទីបំផុតទុកឃើញហើយមានថាយើង break down នេះយើងបបែកកង់សង្សារវដ្តបានហើយយើងបញ្ឈប់វាបាននឹងយើងដើរទៅដើរបច្ច្រាស់ទៅវិញ so if we want to break down the wheel of the samsara we have to reverse the order right we don't go with the flow of the tanha and avijja don't go with the flow of desire and ignorance right if we do so we just keep the wheel of samsara moving on and on endlessly no end right endlessly but if we break the wheel of samsara in any link oh sorry everyone hello can you hear me internet problem I just get disconnected okay
That's okay. We can hear you now.
okay I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because time's up I give like some times for if there is any question you can raise your hand or can just turn on the mic where do I okay everyone you have any question you can ask if you have I'm sorry the internet just got disconnected at the moment today we don't have time for discussion since I took all the time just to discuss here and there basically we come to the fundamental essence of the Paṭiccasamuppāda. I hope you can already pick up some of the main essence of the Paṭiccasamuppāda. We will study more based on the diagram. And next week, we will study with Venerable from America. So he will share us on the theory of Samanya Lakkhana, the three characteristics, three universal marks of existence, so to speak. And he will focus more on the theory of anatta, non-self, because it's basically related with the Paṭiccasamuppāda. When we study Paṭiccasamuppāda, we must understand completely the process of the Dhamma that is done by itself, the law of nature, not done by earth, not done by being as men or women. You know, we see the whole series just a process of the law of the nature, the law of causation, not done by any being or any creator, God. That's how we come to understand more about the theory of non-self, which we will study with the monk from America for next week. So far, any question, everyone? If you have any question, raise your hand or just turn on the mic. Seems so silent. Then we can end the class right now. I think it's already time, right? It's 5 a.m. in here. So in Cambodia must be 10 already, right? So, okay, I'd like to end the record. Let us share the merit from our Dhammatana, the sharing of Dhamma to all beings in the whole universe, including our families, friends and relatives. May all beings be well and happy. Tokkha patta jana tokkha prayapata jana prayasoka patta jani soka hontu sape pipanino anumotana. Okay, សុខសប្បាយទាំងអស់គ្នា Goodbye. Yeah, and good.
ណាថ្លែងគុំលាគ្រូ
Mà phải cùng